I never told the full story. And I think it is time to go back in time to give you guys a perspective. Almost 4 years ago now, I have come to the conclusion that this is what I wanted to chase. That this was gonna be the goal, the target, this name, this brand, these motherfucking glasses. Back then, when I made the choice to cut off that one friend, the friend that I used to call a best friend, one that I've known since, well, since very early in life. Realistically, ever since I was able to really remember my first ever moment on this planet. And overall in friendships and platonic friendships, since the very beginning as a kid, I always treated people with respect, with kindness. I was there for them. I was always being myself, as in kind, respectful, listening, giving advice, and just overall lifting up the mood. Just being the jester when the environment was dark, even though, of course, as a kid, life is different. But since the very beginning, I've always been very kind-hearted in friendships, with friends, close friends, not so close friends. It didn't matter. I treated all of them with the same level of respect and kindness that I wanted to be treated with. And whether or not that is just my nature or because I got that from, I don't know, because of the way I was raised, because I got that from others, I don't know. That's just how I've always been. And even in the final months, the final days, the final weeks with that friend, when I still kind of followed him down this foggy path that he went down, unwillingly or not, it didn't matter at the time. It doesn't matter now. I've made my choice. I was always kind to him. Always respectful. I made time for him. Even though I was already going down that road that I wanted to really chase this and take this seriously. I took the time for him. I spent the time with him. And, well, there's a reason why I was the first one that he called every single time when he wanted somebody to come over for a sleepover or just a movie night and just chill. There was a reason why. And on that day when, well, when it became very clear to me that I had to make a choice now, I didn't just immediately cut him off. Like I said, it was a day where we met up with a few of his friends to smoke pot there, and, well, basically I made up an excuse that I had to go. I basically showed him an old message from my dad where he told me to come home at a certain time, and it kind of matched up. So I showed him that, and he already had like a feeling that I was just kind of making it up as to, well, trying to just get away from there, trying to get home and start the stream, because of course he was very much aware of how much I was streaming and with like what a quality and like passion. Maybe he wasn't aware of what passion I was bringing in there, but he knew what I was doing. He knew that I was trying to make the steps into that direction of improvement as to where I can do this at a professional level where I do this now. And yeah, I went home, started the stream not too long from there, and he joined the stream, insulting me in all sorts of ways. He sent me very, very, very mean, very horrible things over WhatsApp because of, well, I don't know if I really need to talk about what it was exactly. Let's just say that my mother has made some very, very poor decisions when it comes to how she shows herself publicly. I think you guys could probably already, like, kind of figure out what that means. Given that she was a very good-looking woman, I think you guys might be able to imagine. So he sent me some very horrible things. And when I banned him out of that chat, when I did all of those things, when I cut him off, when I cut off all the contacts on all the social media platforms, WhatsApp, when I blocked his number, when I did all of those things, in the coming months and hell, even a couple of years, like first 1 to 2 years, he kept on trying. He even came to my place, he came to my home, he put rocks in front of my fucking doorbell, just somehow trying to get my attention, just trying to terrorize me. And for what? Why? Why would he do that? Because I made a choice that I wanted to actually pursue something that I believe in, pursue a goal, and instead of accepting that, and instead of being a good friend like I was, he terrorized me. He insulted me. He disrespected my family, my very own being. Through other people, through himself. And I was treated like garbage. Genuine garbage. It's not the first time that kindness, well, ever struck me. I mean, I think there's a time in school, whether it's elementary school or whether it's like high school or whatever the fuck, there's always like some kind of a time where there might be like, I don't even want to go as far as saying bullying, but like where you might be some of the more quiet people in class, some of the more like weirder kids in class. Hell, I wouldn't even go out as far as saying that I was bullied or anything. I don't think it was that big of a deal, really. But that is definitely like where things started to kind of change a little bit on a social level, where kindness was kind of looked down upon, really, in some kind of a weird way. Despite that, you might think that that would never be the case, because that's what everybody says. Oh, that's the saying: treat other people the way you want to be treated. Well, but that was only the beginning. That was only the beginning. So after that time, when I chose to cut off that friend, and he did all of those things of terrorizing me and all of that stuff, that is also where something new started. Of course, we started that big project, the Souls Marathon, but that is also where things started to shift, as in terms of the new people that I met, because the majority of people that I met were all online. They didn't have a face, they only had a voice and a gamer tag, and that's all they had. They didn't have a face, they didn't have a hand that I could shake, they didn't have eyes that I could see and see through. They only had a voice. They only had a voice that made statements regarding their IRL situation, how wealthy they were, and just pretending to be a person that they really aren't. And I decided to give my trust to those people so many times. And that was even before the whole romantical stuff happened in the first place. I gave people, so many people, trust and kindness and respect on a platonic level. And with almost everybody, not everyone, but with almost everybody, I was met with the same result. I've been betrayed. I've been stabbed in the back. I've been disrespected. I've been insulted. I've been so much. Well, all that I was trying to do is simply make their day better, being a stand-up human being, being a kind-hearted person that I would consider myself to be. And that is the result that I was met with. With many names, and I won't mention all of them, but it happened so many times. Time and time and time and time again. And I know that it's an online world. This is not the real world, okay? Like, yes, of course, you guys can see me. You guys can see my voice. You guys can see my background. You guys can see where I live. And you guys see what I do. You know, like I act upon what I say. But those people, most people out there in that online world, most of them, 90% of them are not real. There are exceptions, and I have met the exceptions and I still have contact with the exceptions, but the level of isolation that I put myself through for so many years now, for over almost 4 years now, longer than that really, honestly, more than, like, if we go all the way back, probably more than, maybe like 5 years plus at this point, I don't even know. I'm 19 now, all of my teenage years have really just been spent behind the monitor, 99% of the time, despite the fact that I would consider myself to be quite, well, more of an socially active person that actually seeks social interest, but that is only sharpened and gone up with every single day that passes by. And especially in recent time. Let me just take a sip here, man, because... So, yeah. 2022 was overall a good year. Because at the end of the day, that is where I made that decision, that very, very important decision that basically built my entire character for the rest of my life from that point on. But yeah, I met new people. I shifted into a mindset where I was so focused and determined that I saw everything not being disciplined behavior as straight up, almost like a crime committed. I saw every kind of behavior, even as something as simple as going out for a stroll, just going out for a walk. I saw something as simple as 1 second, as 1 moment, as 1 day not being spent on, as 1 moment not being spent on a goal, on a dream. I've seen every single one of those moments as a waste of time and almost as you being a trash human being. And that also really reflected onto some of the people that I played with who then sooner or later also left me. And I can only blame myself for that, realistically. But most of the people that I've met here or, well, here in the stream or just in the games or just there, man, I treated them with respect, kindness, and advice. And I wanted them to not suffer some of the experiences that I've experienced. I wanted them to be better. I wanted them to feel better. I wanted them to not make the same mistakes. But the result that I was met with over and over again, some kind of a way, was just the same betrayal, the same kind of behavior that I was met with when I made the simple decision to walk away from that meetup to just smoke our heads away. I was met with the same level of behavior and just heartless behavior over and over again. Some more time passed by, and we were only talking about the platonical stuff up until this point. This is where it gets even worse. This is where it gets even worse. As time went by, I, started taking this more and more seriously, and my apprenticeship was not too far away from finally starting. And the goal was very clear. I wanted to get myself the money that I needed to purchase the setup that I need to produce content at the highest quality that I can. And now my parents also started to notice. Damn, I sure as hell spend quite a lot of time inside of my room without ever seeing the fucking sun or doing anything else for that matter. Aside from the bare minimum for school. And it was starting to show. Because they almost showed kind of the same... almost the same behavior. Or, well, of course not quite. They gave me the freedom They gave me the freedom to actually keep all of the money that I would get from the apprenticeship, which is not they didn't need to do that. Okay, it's not required. But when your parents, both of them, over and over again, tell you that what you're planning to do is pointless, isn't gonna work out, and tell you that over and over and over again, while you're met with that behavior that I've just mentioned from other people that you have given trust, respect, and that kindness and that level of advice, when you're met with both of those, it does hurt you quite a lot. So now we move on. My apprenticeship has officially started. And what I thought to be a myth, what I thought to be not real, which is the emotion that we call romantical love, lust, or whatever the fuck you might want to call it. For making it simple, I'm just gonna say love. Romantical love. That's when I met that girl. Or saw that girl, realistically. And that is where things really started to weigh me down big time. Because the emotion, the feeling that I thought to be nothing more than a myth, nothing more than simply something put into others people's head that they believe in because they are simply part of the average culture. I thought it not to be real up until that point. And then boom! I got hit with it. I got hit with something. I never ever thought that some pretty eyes, some pretty hair, and a fucking voice can deal that much damage. Because that dame, early in August of 2023, that really forged a lot. All of it. Not just a lot, it forged all of the future. At first I didn't... I thought about it for a bit. I was shaking in that moment. I was shaking after it happened. I was shaking on the same day after I came home planning to start the stream, and I was thinking about it. I didn't mention it at first. I just kind of tried to shake it off. But as the days passed by, as the weeks passed by, and I saw her again and again, it became pretty clear. That average culture that I assumed to be simply nothing but a myth and imagination, nothing but what I thought to be an imaginational weakness artificially created by us as a distraction, I suppose is what I thought it was. It was very real. It was very, very much real. And it was so much more powerful and consuming than I ever thought possible. So days and weeks passed by. There was a day where I decided to talk about it. I was playing The Search. It was in the Souls Marathon. And I just stopped for a moment. I was also very tired. And I'm pretty sure for 2.5 hours of that stream, I just talked about that the entire time. I don't know who was in that stream. I don't know which viewer it was, but that's not really important. And I talked about it. And I think maybe it connects to the whole, like, actual inner urge, or, like, this whole just naturally being more, well, socially upcoming, as in that I want, like, actual connection to people. And with discovering that, I saw that I was missing something. That I missed something. I missed something that I wanted. I wanted something that I first thought to be nothing more than a myth. So days and weeks passed by. I kept on carrying that feeling with me, and with each passing day after that point, when I talked about it as well, I just felt the weight crush me down more and more and more. I just felt that. I really did feel that. And I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do. Because up until that point, I committed so much into this way of thinking, into this absolute grind, this absolute obsession, and absolute convincing behavior of nothing but pure determination and nothing but daily acting upon what I said of grinding day by day with absolutely no remorse. And going through the day. And everything else, everything outside of that box didn't matter. It didn't have a meaning. It didn't have a purpose. It had no space on the path that I was walking. And that was damaging me. It damages me up until this day. And the crack has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. The loneliness started to hit. And like I already said it in the last one, it was New Year's Eve, 2024, and nobody showed up on that 24-hour stream where I wanted to be there playing Siege. Nobody showed up. Nobody came online. Nobody even told me. I tried calling everybody. Nobody answered. And was laying there in that bed, feeling a tear just going down the left cheek of my face. Hearing the fireworks go off. Everybody else enjoying their time with their loved ones like they planned. And I was laying there, staring at the ceiling. Lights turned off, parents gone. Outside with their friends. And I was there. Alone. Some more time passed by. It is now 2024. And I started to talk with a close friend of mine. Or, well, close friends. A friend of mine. A person with kind of a shared mindset, only in a different style and form. I talked with Rocket. I talked with him. And despite his younger age, he had experience in that kind of field. And so I tried to make the first steps in actually acting upon what I was feeling there, and not just letting it weigh me down and absolutely destroy me and consume me from the inside. So I tried to do that. And realistically, it led to nothing. It was basically just one text. Or two, I wouldn't even remember anymore. Theoretically, I could look it up, but yeah, so I tried that, it led to nothing. And I was basically completely oblivious, or completely ignoring the fact that she was already spoken for as well. I didn't even put that into consideration. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. I only saw what was at hand. Again, I was feeling that for the first time. But at that point, I was already predestined to fail, man. I was predestined to fail already at that point. My first heartbreak was confirmed the second I saw the person that I fell for. In the same second, it was already predestined to happen. It was predestined at that very moment in time. I didn't even have a chance. So I tried. There was some kind of a summer festival. And I tried exactly that. I tried making a move that I didn't even have the confidence for doing in person, which To be fair, which would have been even worse, that would have been even more terrible. That would have been the worst thing possible, considering that I was still gonna work there for some time, or, well, that was the plan at that point, at least. But yeah, so that failed as well. That failed. It didn't work. And... yeah. Just one day after that, I was basically just trying to bury myself again. Instead of my mindset, instead of my way of thinking about, like, just... I was trying to bury myself again in my obsession, in my determination, in my unwavering determination for wanting to achieve success and greatness with RDK. I went back to that, completely burying myself inside of that mindset again so that I wouldn't have to feel that pain anymore. Little did I know that just 2 weeks after that happened, the next catastrophe would strike. At the point where, well, just a few days after I tried, or better said, just a few days after I basically went to bury myself in just the shell of RDK's mindset again. At that point, I already made quite a lot of changes in what I did with RDK. Pretty sure at that point I was also not playing Siege. I didn't really talk to many people anymore. From the old friend group. From the people that I used to play Siege with in the prime time. I only really had like contact with a couple of people. So most of those were most of the like important people that were there at like the very beginning. They were already gone by now. The people at the prime time, they were gone. That time was already over at that point. It was already over. So yeah, I faced my first actual heartbreak without there ever even being a proper relationship, anything that really started. It was never there. Only the illusion. Only me trying to make sense of the very feeling that I thought to be simply nothing but fairy tale dust. Something that's imaginative. Something that we tell our kids, but it's not even real. At least that's what I thought. Then the next girl came. That was another one. Not one that I've seen before, not one that I've heard before, but one that joined the stream quite a long time ago. One that, well, one that has been in the streams for a couple years, that knew what I was doing, saw like a few snippets every now and then, because they weren't in the stream like every day, but like once every few months. And they saw the evolution. They would tell stories of their life, their relationship. And then it was the 8th of July, 2024. I was directly approached in a very confusing way. In a way that I've never been approached before. Not in person as well, but simply over the fucking stream. A stream that you can still see now. It's still online as we speak. It's still there to be watched, to be seen. It's still there. It's still there. But yeah, I was directly approached by that person over the stream, the same way that I would have hoped to be approached by that girl before IRL. Maybe it had something to do with that. Maybe that is the reason why I even went straight into something else right after that, as to why I even said yes, as to why I even, like, just went into that whole topic again with somebody else. Because I have now discovered something very deep that I was missing, that ate me up from the inside day by day, that was cracking myself, cracking my heart, cracking my soul. Just something that was very painful for me to not have, and only being amplified by the fact that I was already isolating myself, just for such a long time, despite the fact that what I wanted was completely different. So yeah, I went into that. And we talked a lot. We texted basically every waking minute, in the middle of the week, on weekends, wherever the fuck. Texting the entire time. All the time. And at that point, I didn't even know the age. And I didn't even know the voice. I saw her in a picture. Seemed to be about right that she was 19. That's what she said that she was. Plot twist, she wasn't, but you guys already know that. So yeah. And as I was approaching the end of 2024, I kind of felt that the thing that I was having there with her was like very inconclusive and incomplete. And I basically didn't really know what to do with that situation that I had with her. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I could do. So I was kind of in between things where I wanted to not have that going on between me and her anymore, but I was also tending towards the fact that I do want that, because it's my only chance of not feeling that empty feeling, of constantly just being empty, just being fucking broken, of being isolated, of being lonely, of constantly just being stuck in the same position with the same darkness and the same result every single fucking day. I didn't want that. So I was in between things. And I gave her mixed signals. I made many mistakes. I said mean things. And days and days passed by. We went in between things. We talked a lot. We called a lot at that point as well. We were also saying I love you as well. We said those kind of things. We said exactly that. It was messy. Okay? It was bad. It was so foggy, so much rain, so much storm, so many clouds. It was messy. And at that point, I didn't even know what the hell it was that I was doing there. I didn't know. I didn't know. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know. Then 2025 started. And it only really got worse. Then there was her sister being in the mix as well. If you think about it that way, I was kind of catfished by two people or even numerous people at once. Given that her age was also completely wrong. And all people involved were really just way younger than me. Then there was her sister. And because I felt what was incomplete there could be complete with her, despite the fact that the circumstances were the exact same. It didn't change. But she was also kind of, which I will also learn really, like, after that, which is what I learned just recently in the last couple of days, is that especially female teenagers, especially those, go off purely, and I mean that purely of emotions. Completely. 100% of the control of what they say, of what they do, of how they act and how they talk to you is 100% led by pure emotions. One day, they might tell you that they want to fucking, I don't know, eat your face. The next day, they will say it was a big mistake, but then again, in 2 days, they will do the exact same fucking thing. They will do the exact same fucking thing. That did not happen on one occasion. It happened on at least 3 occasions at this point. It was the same thing every single time. It's like this one day, it's like that the next day. And in 2 days, the whole thing will repeat again if you do not quit out. It's the same thing. It's the same insanity that I was met with over and over and over again. Despite the effort put in, despite trying to figure it out, it didn't matter. It didn't have value. It didn't have consistency. It was simply there to make me suffer, confuse me. I don't know. I truly do not know. It didn't pair well with my isolation, I'll tell you that much. It didn't pair well at all. It truly didn't. It only made it worse. And it only made it worse, and it only made it worse. So now we have 3 separate individuals. Now we come to number 4. And at this point, you gotta keep in mind that at that point, platonically, man, the only fucking people that were still there, realistically, were the OGs that were there for the longest time, ever since I can recall starting the Souls Marathon. But hell, even those people I've never seen in person. It was always just behind the monitor. Every single goddamn time. Always behind the fucking screen. Every time. All of which were important. All of which were an important piece in the whole fucking puzzle. Person number 4. Again, I felt as if I was another person that could have been a potential target to fill that hole inside of me that I felt from the isolation, from the longing for romantical connection. That was person number 4. Number 4. And it's the same game again. Only this time, while I should have been able to tell realistically, I tried again, and I was stuck in a loop where I was putting myself through a process of where I was trying to use all the hatred from, like, connected from the combined from the isolation, combined from what my parents were saying, combined with, like, the very low results that I was getting, combined with all of the suffering, all of the pain, all of the confusion, just every single step, all of that was combining, and I was combining that, I was using that combined hatred to use that as a source of power to keep on grinding with the streams at the absolute immensity that I did it at, because 10-hour plus streams were a standard. They weren't a question, they weren't an if, they were a standard. It was a normal. It was expected. It was my very standard of how I did things. And even if I had a long shift, a late shift on one day, and then early shift the next day, it didn't matter. I was gonna go live for 5 hours plus no matter what. And 2 10-hour plus streams were the bare minimum. The minimum. I put myself in a whole simply by the decision to chase it with everything I got. And around the same time, my mother was starting to, well, she was starting to collapse heavily. There were times where I would come home and she was just on the couch, sleeping there for an entire week. My parents were also split apart at that point. I was just seeing the hate that they were giving each other there. I was traumatized by that on a daily basis, by their consumption, by their alcohol consumption, by their drug consumption, just being confronted with that, until one day where I decided to confront them to stop doing that shit, and it didn't change nothing. No, I only secured myself another traumatic event that would shape myself further in this deep psychological trauma and pain that I was carrying inside of me. Connected with the longing of connection that I was trying to desperately fill somehow with every chance that I got, but it just didn't matter. So yeah, person number 4 tried the same thing, was confronted with the same result. And then person number 2, Ms. N, came back after, well, coming together with that one friend of mine. She came back, told me that she misses me. And just a few days where I knew that they were together, I made the promise that I would make the same mistake again. I even made a video about this. I even made a video where I talked about that in detail. So I promised that if I were to ever, like, commit for something like that again, if I were to ever do that again, that I would do it properly this time. I would do it properly. That's what I promised. That is what I told myself. That is what I said in the video. So I did. I got together with her. We actually met up for the first time. We had plenty of intimacy. Well, I think those were the last months. That summer of 2025, where I had that connection with her. That was like the first time in a long time where I genuinely felt like happy. Where I actually felt happy. Because I was finally able to fill that hole. Well, of course there was the distance, yes, but I was finally able to fill that hole while being able to do this at the same time. But of course, with what happened in the past, it would become very clear that that would also not last. And it didn't. Which was to be expected. Summer passed by. My father and mother had active contact again with each other. But my mother was in a deep hole. I barely saw her anymore. Even though I was living in the same house with her. Always in bed. Not going to work, not doing anything. She crashed down. She was gone at that point. In the last 2-3 weeks of her being alive, she was gone. She was no longer the mother that I had a decade ago. She no longer was. So one day that I woke up, got ready for my barber's appointment, went inside of that room, and then I saw the results of depression, of psychological insanity, and a person completely falling from grace. I saw all of that at once, in one scene, in one picture, in one image. Symbolized by a rope tied around a neck. That happened just over 4 months now. 4 months ago is when that happened. Just less than 2 months after that, Miss N broke up with me as well. Told me that she was actually 17. A few months later after that, I found out that she was even younger than that. She was 12. So the one time that I thought that I fought for love, that I thought that it would actually be genuine, it was also just not real. It was fake. Built a foundation built from a lie. So there goes person number 5. And at that point, what did I have? Long-term friends, almost everybody gone. Either betrayed, left, or whatever the hell. Every chance that I had at romantical interest, I tried taking them. Either got rejected, neglected, lied to, or manipulated. In that summer of 25, I met a new person. A person that I met literally in the game where I went 26-4. We built up a connection really quickly. Now, I would almost go as far as saying that we actually became very good friends in a very short amount of time. I would talk to him about very deep topics, including stuff like fear of losing somebody that you love. He was also in a long-distance relationship at that point. He was telling me about the fears that I also shared, that anxious attachment as well. We understood each other so well that just a few months, 2 or 3 months after we first met and played that game together, when I went 26-4, I literally gave him my old monitor. He came to my house, my old apartment, and I literally gave him that monitor for free because he didn't have one. And because I thought that that person was genuine, a good person, a real friend, I decided to gift him that. And just 3 months later, everything that I thought about that person, everything I thought to be real, truthful, it was all a lie. All of those conversations that talk about fear, all just a lie. All of it. Again, a pretender. Even though I met up with that person, even though it was only for a short time, it was only a pretender. And do you know what the worst thing is? Just days before I found out about what he did, about doing the worst thing that you can do in a long-distance relationship, which I don't think I need to explain. Just days before I found that out, I was literally talking him out of making a decision that I also planned on doing. Something very terrible. Taking himself out of this life, out of this planet. I talked him out of it. I gave him my trust. I gave him a valued asset of mine. I gave him all of that. I gave him my advice. I gave him my talk. And I even talked him out of that. Only to be met with the same result again. I was lied to. I was betrayed. I was used. Again. And I wish that this is where I could stop talking, but it still doesn't end. We're still not done here. After I was told what he did, I left him one more message. I told him, once you are done lying to me and her, you should stop lying to yourself. And then I blocked him. Then I got a message. I got a message from a special person. She asked me for help. So I did. I helped. I gave her the same level of advice, the same level of depth and commitment. And I was there for her. I helped. And to be fair, might be on my hands here. I know there's a little bit of blood on my hands there as well. I gotta admit that. And very quickly I realized she kind of reminds me of me from a few years ago, you know, in a way. So, we went from texting to then having a couple of calls, adding each other on TikTok, sending some goofy shit-ass videos, man, doing all of that stuff, yada yada yada. And then I don't really know how it happened. I was under the impression, or not just under the impression, she gave very clear signals, despite saying that apparently it wasn't intended, despite the fact that there were numerous instances which I did not initiate at all. I was under the impression that that person was trying to hit on me. Now, I will say, I did in fact commit to that as well. And to be honest, even now, I can't quite say, like, after saying all of this stuff, I can't even quite say if it was just... I think it was a mix between of actually liking that person and also... well... and also still being in the same position with that whole emptiness bullshit. So I committed to that. And this is where we come to the point where I said that at least teenagers, female teenagers, they act entirely off of emotion. So, there was an agreement, a mutual agreement of the fact that there was that was very clear that the both of us found each other attractive on a physical level. Also, kind of personality-wise. It all kind of, it just ties into the fact, it ties into the whole thing of this whole intimate texting and that bullshit. I'm just glad that it didn't go as far as that were too, like, that there were, like, extreme intimate pictures. At least that didn't happen. Thank God, man. But then again, same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. That person that I helped, that same person that I gifted that fucking monitor to, same person that I gave that trust once again, the person that did that to that person, she chooses that again. Again. And that's where it was very clear to me. It doesn't fucking matter what I do. Realistically, in this life, if you are not the one to deal damage, you are the one to take damage. And realistically, that's just what it is. And in all of these instances, I was the one to take damage over and over and over again. trying to make sense of that emotion, just trying to make sense of, just trying to somehow, just wanting to go back. Just wanting to go back to that time before I saw the first girl. Just going back. Just going back. My memories being erased. And I would rather live not knowing that myth, that what I thought to be a myth of love, just not knowing that it exists. I just keep on wishing for that every single day. I just remember that time where going live for 10 hours plus felt as easy as making myself a toast with some fucking ham. I want to go back to that, but I know that I never can. Now I'm stuck here. And I've been proven once more that my apparent value and worth, not just in romantical but also platonical friendships, is non-existent. And that given all of this, the best thing in all of these situations, over and over and over again, the best thing that I did for the people that, well, that manipulated me, or that gave me the wrong signals, or just said things that they only meant in the moment but didn't actually mean, the best thing over and over and over again was for me to just leave and disappear. Again and again and again. More times than I can count. So that's how we come to the title. To accept the unworthy of love and friendship. I was out with my dad today, you know. His birthday was 2 days ago. I invited him to a restaurant. Or better said, he chose the restaurant I paid. I guess what's just, like, the craziest thing about all this is that kind-heartedness, respectfulness, and maturity, even over older people, just led me to the same result. An infinite amount of times. I had the same thoughts today again. I gotta be honest about that as well. I had the same thoughts again. Just taking the rope, tying it around my neck, saying goodbye, and kada boom bam pow, problem's gone. That's not what I want, though. I don't want to do that. I know that I don't want to do that. Even when I ask myself in that moment, when, like, the feeling is the strongest, I don't want to do that. I don't. What I want is just for a moment. For the memories and for the pain, for a moment, to just be gone. That's what I want. I just want to go back. All the way back. I want to go back to being blind. That's what I want to go back to. Why the hell am I even making this? I don't know, man. What the hell is it gonna change? I'm gonna upload this bullshit, and it's gonna be just like the other videos, me ranting about this fucking shit that I know nobody gives a shit about. There's not even a point. There is no point. The result is the same. Every time. And I'm stuck in this loop over and over again. I meet a person. I think maybe I'm not so terrible. Maybe I'm not so horrible. That person will stay for longer than 2 days or 2 months or I don't know, like a considerable amount of time. But no. No. I get it. I guess my characteristics simply make me unworthy in that way. Even though it doesn't sound factual. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Everything I said, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't lead to that title in the video, but that is what it is. I'm being met with that level. It doesn't matter. It's not about the fucking just the romantical bullshit. It's also about the platonical bullshit. It's the same result. I'm met with it every fucking time. And if you go as an recipe or as a formula, you would say do the opposite. But what do you want me to do? You want me to be an asshole? I'm not an asshole. You have a deck of cards. You bet on the deck of cards. I have a 2 and a 3, different symbols. And the other guy, on the opposite of the table, has a pair of aces. I lose. Not even close to a chance. That's what it is. I guess maybe I'm stuck to feel like this. At least for now. I've given advice, I've helped. I've given so much, man. I've given so much. So much, man. And it's pointless. It's fucking pointless, bro. It's pointless. Completely pointless. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. The people would rather take the thing that hurts them even more. And I'm looking at my hands. I know that the title doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't add up. But what result am I given here? What replies was I given? If this was... One occasion is one thing. You know? Like, back then, fine. But not 10 to 20 different occasions. Over and over again. With different approaches, different times, different ages, different people. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to die. And I also do not want to kill myself. I don't. I really truly don't. But I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to be in this loop anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to anymore. This constant feeling of drainage, it is purgatory, is what it is. It's purgatory. It's so relentlessly painful in ways that I can't even describe. I don't know how to properly continue with this. I can't even establish another prime time. I can't establish it like this. On what basis am I supposed to establish that? On blind fucking hope? How long do we have hope for? How long have I been building on blind hope? For how many years? Too many. I don't have a foundation to go off, man. I don't. Only the slightest percentage of a bit of some miracle, some stupid plain fucking luck that I finally got the cards that I want, that I need. It's stupid, man. It's fucking stupid. But not just here, but also there. It's all stupid luck and fucking bullshit. Ugh. I guess that's all I wanted to say. I don't know how to continue like this. I do not know. I only know that I can. The choice of ending it all, bro. I mean, realistically, what do I have? I've gone as far as planning it out in detail. I know how I would do it to guarantee success. Almost guarantee it. It would be very painful, I think. Kind of fucked up that I'm even talking about that, but I want you to know how I feel and what I've already been like planning. I could do it without anybody really knowing. But what would I leave behind? I would leave behind the same fucking trauma. I would leave behind the same trauma for the people that I see work. I would leave behind the same fucking thing. I don't want that. But I also don't want to suffer through this endless loop of bullshit. This place was meant to be a fresh start. But just 5 days in, I'm met with the same betrayal, with the same manipulation, with the same lies. Just 5 days. Again. And I didn't even initiate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. You have yourself a beautiful rest of Valentine's Day, I guess. See you guys. Bye-bye.